So, a couple of days ago, I made a video trying to explain to people why it's so important to vote for this election and vote on the Republican side. I was making my appeal to the Democrats, the old school Democrats, the true liberals. I want to include the independents, which in many ways, they are the ones that decide the election. The whole country is pretty much divided 50-50. Only 50% of the population votes, of the eligible voters. Of that 50%, 30% are going to vote Republican no matter what. 30% are going to vote Democrat no matter what. They're set on their ways. There's a section in the middle of independents that are not associated with the party, but a lot of those, there's a group that associates more with the ideas of the Republican Party, and there's a group that associates with the Democrats, and they tend to vote that way. And there's a little sliver in the middle who are true independents that have voted Democrat in some elections and Republican in others. Those are the ones that I'm trying to appeal mostly. And also the vast majority of people that don't vote at all, that say, it doesn't affect my life. I don't pay attention to politics. Well, it does affect your life. I mean, the whole society is predicated on having a structure and a government and a body of politics, and it affects your daily life. It affects your job, how much you pay in taxes, how much freedom you have, how much freedom is taken away from you. I mean, those are major, major things. And then I talked about what's going on today and the ideologies that are behind what's going on today, the battle on free speech, the cancel culture, all the ideologies that I mentioned. It's so difficult to explain what's going on. If you went through college lately, in the past few years or maybe a decade, you have heard critical race theory, social justice, intersectionality, what else? Postmodernism, all these ideas that have been brewing for a century. And the results of that is what you see today in the streets. It's the riots, the burning down of cities, the trying to destroy the whole structure of society. People telling you that if you're white, you're racist, even if you don't know it. That sex and gender are just social constructs. That today I can feel like a woman. That it really is. It's there's no biological basis for male and female. All these weird things that, if you've been on this earth long enough, you think, what the heck is going on? And you don't have time to pay attention to it. You have a life, you have a job, you work your ass off, and you watch the news. And if you happen to be watching MSNBC and CNN, and you're getting all this crap. I mean, and I don't blame you. I mean, there's no time sometimes. I'm just crazy. I like this, to study these topics. I don't get my concept of society and how I view the world and my value system out of watching Fox News. I don't. I get it because I went back and read old white farts from the Enlightenment, and if you went through college, you probably were exposed to Marx, to Howard Zinn, the history of America, to postmodernism and intersectionality and gender studies and all that stuff. But if you were only exposed to that side, you should go back and get your money back. Because I'm sure you never read the Founding Fathers, you never read the Federalist Papers, or you read Marx, but you never read someone like Frederick Bastiat, Bastiat. It's a French economist. John Stuart Mill, John Locke, Adam Smith, all these people that wrote about social and economic issues in history, and we here, the modern people, are so arrogant to think that we know better. I mean, those are old ideas. They knew a lot. The founders went back to them. It went back to Greece, to Socrates and the historians of the Roman era. There's a lot of knowledge in the world that you have not been exposed to, because, believe me, there's no shortage of intellectual mediocrity in the professors at colleges. They're filling these young minds with crap. So, how do I explain, in a nutshell, what's going on and why you see these results on the streets? And I was listening to a podcast, and somebody used a metaphor, which I thought it was brilliant. And I'm going to borrow that, and I'm going to build around it and give my own spin on it. And I hope it can explain, because sometimes visualizing something is a lot easier than, because all these ideas, if you never read them or you don't know about them, it's too complicated, really. And I'm not saying that I'm smart. I just read about it. So, think of the Western society, or the 5,000 years or 6,000 years approximately of recorded history of humanity, as the building of a house. Okay? So we've been building this thing for 5,000 years. Our footers, the foundation, is the Judeo-Christian beliefs, which are based on mythology and archetypes from ancient and oral traditions, and that's where the Bible basically comes from. If you don't want to think that it's inspired by God, that's fine. You have to admit that the whole of our society is based on this Judeo-Christian foundation. Now, then there's the other side, the reason side, built on Greece and Athens and Socrates and Plato. Those are the two ingredients that have built this building, this house of the Western society. Now, over the years, of the millennia, there's been a progressive inclusion, if you want to say it. First, the house was for very few elites that could get into it. All right? We had a moat around it with crocodiles, and we never let everybody in. Now, over the years, we have expanded the house. We have built new rooms to it. We filled in the moat, and we have made copies of the keys, and we started distributing those keys to more and more and more people. People that used to be disenfranchised, that were the serfs, the toil in the fields, and the people in the house would reap the benefit of it. Then we have slavery. Same thing. The master's house was in the middle of the plantation, and nobody could get in, just the master and the family. We've done away with it over the years in a very slow process, but it always goes forward. It goes to a better place. It doesn't go backwards. We have expanded the house. We have made more rooms, and we have made more copies of the key, and more people have the key and can get in now than it used to be. And if you don't hear this, but this world is getting better. In the last 20 years of the 21st century, we pretty much have eradicated complete poverty, which is like less than $1 a day in the UN's statistics. Everybody is going up. The ideas of that build this house, the reason and science, morals, all the structures that have built this house, which is a good house. And now we have been able to get more and more people in it. That is what these ideologies are trying to destroy. So instead of trying to improve the house, make it bigger, and make more keys, these ideologies are saying, no, the house is no good, we have to bulldoze it. That is the big difference between voting for one side or the other. The Republican side wants to keep building the house and giving keys to more and more people. The Democrats, because they have been invaded by this ideology, if you vote for Biden, I don't think Biden wants to destroy the house. But the people that have taken power in the Democratic Party are the ones that want to bulldoze the whole thing. And they want equality. But they achieve equality not by making everybody go into the house. No, you just bulldoze the thing, get a bunch of rubble, and we're all equal. We all live in the rubble. That is, in a nutshell, what this election is about. And let me tell you something. The difference between the lefty that wants to do that and the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa, which are the physical manifestations of that ideology, which you see on TV destroying the cities, literally, those are not the liberals. We need the balance, the yin and yang of the conservative and the liberal. And for years, it kind of worked because the conservative wants to build a house and improve the mechanics of it and get better air conditioning and better heating and the sewage. And the liberal is the one that has the vision and the architectural vision of how to build that house better. And also the liberal is the one that kind of cares about letting more people in. So you need that balance of liberal and conservative. What we're talking about is something that's outside that binary choice of liberal and conservative. These people don't want the house. They want to destroy it. So if you've never voted, or if you're on the fence, or you're a true liberal, I'm telling you, I'm going to call this vote for Trump even if you have to hold your nose. I've done that many times. I've voted for people holding my nose, choosing the best of the two evils. So if you have to, I can understand you may not like Trump. He doesn't talk nicely. He's arrogant. He has a big ego. He's not perfect. You just don't like the guy. But it's beyond that. If you don't vote Trump this time, you're just giving this country away. And let me say, it's not because of who you vote for on the other side. It's because of the deep state. I know that this is a conspiracy theory. People think that it's the deep state, and no, it's not. The federal government has become a monstrous bureaucracy populated with people that tend to be lefty, and they want to keep their job. So when you vote the Democratic Party, they bring along people that you don't even know their names. They're not voted in. They're just appointed. And those are the real people that basically govern. All these bills they pass in Congress, they're not written by the people that are in Congress voted in. They're written by specialists and thinkers that create all these legislation, and the people that vote on them don't even read them. So when you vote Democrat, you're bringing in those people that believe in tearing down the house. And once you tear it down, it's not easy to build it back up. It took 5,000 years to build it. And we've seen examples in the 20th century of many bulldozing. Russia, Cuba, Venezuela now, those are all examples of society that bulldozed their traditions, killed all the farmers, and then nobody knew how to farm. And they all starved to death. The government takes over the whole thing and destroys it. And those are the results. Millions and millions of people dead. So, please, to my liberal, true classical liberal friends, and those of you who do not vote because you think it's useless, please vote this time. Hold your nose, like I said, and vote for Trump. If we don't, eventually we're going to all find ourselves amidst the rubble. Please pass it along if you think this is important. And if one more. I know this is long, but I have to. Another metaphor or analogy that is very helpful in understanding the mindset of one party and the other. The Republican Party, the conservative side, tends to think of society as a ladder. The Democrat side, the left side, think of it as a rope. So if you think of it as a ladder, you as an individual have a choice to climb that ladder. Of course, there's a penthouse, and in the penthouse you have the privileged rich people. That's true. But there are so many other floors that you can land in. And that's why you have a big middle class, which is shrinking. But you have that choice of climbing the ladder with your own effort and finding a floor that you like. The other side is the rope. The Democrat elites are at the top in the penthouse, and they go and see all these people down there and say, hey, we'll hand you a rope. All you have to do, you don't have to do anything. You just hang on to the rope and we'll pull you up. So that's fine. Most people say, hey, that's a lot easier than climbing the ladder. So I'm going to hang on to the rope. Now what happens? Huh? They pull you up, but never pull you up all the way to the penthouse. No. They leave you hanging there, dangling too high that if you let go, you fall and die. And there's nothing you can do. All you have to do, that's the welfare system. They pull you up in a rope and they hold you there, and all they want is for you to vote for them. And that happens to minorities a lot. That's what happens to the black community. Think of where most of the inner cities are. Democrat control of all the local government. And what do? They hang them on the rope. They give them enough to survive so they don't starve, but there's no incentive to get off the rope and climb the ladder. That's pretty good. I mean, these are not metaphors that I came up with. I've been reading and watching and watching and listening to podcasts. I think that metaphor is from Dinesh D'Souza. Anyhow, please pass this along if you think it's important. All right?